All right, y'all. So welcome back. I do want to say before we jump into these recordings with Miss Gwendolyn E. White that this content is being shared for educational and commentary purposes only. And at this time, I cannot verify many of the claims being made by Miss Gwendolyn E. White. The allegations and the statements coming directly from her are her perspectives. Now, some of what you are about to hear is emotionally intense. It's disturbing. So viewer discretion is definitely advised. Portions of her story, y'all, appear to be connected with documents, court filings, social media posts, recorded calls, and public records that are already circulating online. There is clearly a much larger story developing behind the scenes. And with this case eventually moving to trial, y'all, I think it's important to hear Gwendolyn's own words directly before the media narratives, courtroom arguments, and public opinion fully shape how people actually see her. And this is not legal advice, by no means. I'm not a lawyer. And this is not a declaration of fact, because I don't know none of these people. And it's not by no means a support of violence of any kind. So this is really just a simple attempt to understand the timelines and the allegations and the mindset surrounding one of the most talked about cases coming out of North Carolina. So y'all buckle in, because this one's a ride, y'all. All right, y'all ready? Here we go.
Seth Bloom on November 17th at approximately 11:38, he said, sign a waiver of counsel. I said, why am I signing a waiver of counsel when you're standing right here and you're my counsel? He said, no, sign this. And I said, but why? So then it was like 22 to 27 minutes later, the DA walked up and she said, I'm throwing out the 2 restraining orders and show calls against those 2 females and we're going after you. And I said, so you don't even want to see the evidence? No, we're going after you. I said, really, Seth? Really? He said, I don't have anything to do with it. I said, so you're not going to...
you signed the waiver?
Okay. He told me to sign it.
Yeah, and you had already signed it before he was...
And I done paid your law office almost $15,000. At that time, it was like $13,850. I had paid them on $35.83. And I said, so you're throwing me under the bus right before the judge actually starts the hearing. I said, what am I missing here? Because I see what you're doing to me. So then they were standing there talking to the judge. The judge said, why do we have a waiver of counsel when you're standing here? So then Paige Feldman said, can we go in your chambers? Because she's listening. So they go in the judge's chambers, then they come back out, and then they talk about a capacity evaluation.
The time that I represented her, called the police on her neighbors dozens of times. I think it was 37 times. And they got sick of it. Every time the police came out, they would investigate. And Miss White had this fixed belief that her neighbors were poisoning her through her air conditioning system, which there's no evidence at all that was true. I felt awful for Miss White, who I knew had not been getting the treatment that she needed.
And I'm like, here we go again. So I bring out the paperwork from Duke saying, here's the amended form. It was put in my chart fraudulently, XYZ.
Don't even want to look at it, hear it?
Don't want to look at it, don't want to see it, don't want to believe it, nothing. So the amended form, I have been dealing with this stuff regarding Duke since May 20th of 2022. And when I found out about it, it was because Solace Pain Clinic right down the street this way, Dr. Sanjay Kim said, are you aware that this just showed up in your My Chart? I said, what? He said, we received a letter saying to backdate your PHI. He said, we don't backdate PHI.
There would be no reason to legalize?
I said, a diagnosis of what's on this thing has not come through me. I haven't been diagnosed by any doctor.
Have you seen a psychiatrist?
I've seen a psychiatrist before. I saw one at Lenox Hospital over in Duke. I saw one at Carolina Partners with Dr. Mark Resnick, because when the car accident happened on 6/9/14, it was a rear-end dump truck accident at 12:01 at Miami and Alexander. The dump truck slid in the back of a red Charger. Charger flew up. Charger sat in the back of a white Infiniti. The white Infiniti pushed in the back of my car. At that particular point in time, they said, you got a traumatic brain injury. Okay, concussion is what they're actually talking about. Had a concussion, got over that. On 9/3/14, I'm at the roundabout on Capitol Boulevard. A lady rear-ends my brand new Mazda. Okay, so you now have hit my car. They're saying you got another mild concussion. This was 2014. I've gone through all of the doctors. The doctors are saying you're doing great, you're fine, you don't have the concussion, you've recovered. Okay. Nothing was put in my records about delusional and all this stuff. What was put in my records regarding the car accident is you got 4 spinal cords that's damaged, and here is your MRIs and CTs. November 2nd of 2019, gentleman hit my car on Capitol Boulevard. I went from 4 discs that are damaged, L3, L4, L5, and then my thoracic is, I think is 6. Now it's C3, 4, 5. Everything is damaged in my spinal cord except, I say it this way, except C1. My sacrum is damaged. Thoracic is T1, T2, T5. So that's 4, and then 1 lumbar. Everything else is damaged. I went through a 3-hour, 38-minute MRI at Duke Hospital per Christopher Brown on October 19th of 2022. 3 hours and 38 minutes. Now, you say, she can't talk. She can't remember anything. She's delusional. But if you go with what I'm saying, and I'm sure this is being recorded, then you can go back to my mind chart and look at it for yourself that I'm telling you the truth. I don't have a reason to lie. The only thing I know is when these 2 young ladies moved in, I just kept walking away. But as it progressed, the first phone call that I made was to James Little. I said, James, did you not tell me that this was over with? I said, now, first and foremost, when I went to court, you said you was going to be there. But a gentleman named George Young showed up. Then George Young said, I need for you to put $7,500 in a trust account. I said, okay, I figured they needed more money. So I went to the bank, got a certified check, put it in a trust account. He said, Miss White, go home. That was like 10-something in the morning, 10:38. Called me back, went back to court about 3:13. Pulled me in a little office and said, I gave them the 75. I said, gave who? He said, I gave the people in Roseville. I said, well, why did you give them my money when Judge David McCullough just heard from Paige Feldman, same attorney, that I was telling the truth? Judge McCullough said, do an AOC 170, have the court. Judge Shirley sign it. Judge Rosser heard it. I won twice in court. Then all of a sudden, this stuff shows up in my chart. And it's all, I'm trying to figure out the connection of everything. And every time I talk to the police, they said, you're dealing with Roseville, you're dealing with your son. Roseville and my son, those are 2 different things. I don't get it. If I'm not doing anything, why am I being set up all over again? And James Little was saying, it's because your other one got dismissed, so they want to retry everything. And they're pushing it through the court. But what you're doing is you're making me spend money. I'm up to like $57,000 of my resources that me and my mother had, that I had saved up from that car accident to take care of me and my mother. I've spent money on an attorney. You pour chemicals on my Q7. You turn around and pour chemicals on my Volvo XCT. Officer Reed said, look, Miss White, if you're going to sell that truck and get another one, make sure you put your car in your garage. Now I got an LS 500. They can't mess with it because I put it in my garage. If I put my car in the front, I can show you the video where they pull on the front of my car or the tail end. Judge Parker in Wake County Court said in a restraining order, you can't park in the front of her car, you can't park in the back. They will lie in court and say, we're in Germany, and they were right next door. Video show, they're right next door. But they're lying. So I'm sitting here giving it to my attorney. I'm like, why are you not showing this to the judge that they just lied and said that they were in Germany and they were next door? Why is it that my evidence is being suppressed? And this is what I told Maria. I said, why is my evidence being suppressed? Because I'm black. I don't know any other reason. I can say it's not because of that, or it could be just because of who they are versus who I am. But why is it that my evidence is not just as sufficient as theirs? Carly Spencer with Seth Bloom's office said, if the court looks at your 50 Cs and your DV show causes that you wrote up, they can clearly see that what these two females did was they took what you wrote up and they dubbed it. She said, so we're going to get this dismissed. We don't have to fight this. I said, but you're not fighting anything. I said, and the book is being thrown at me, and I'm wasting my funds that I need to take care of my mother, and I'm wasting my time because I can't take care of my mother because I keep having to pay somebody to sit with my mother. It's frustrating. It's been a long time. Now, I've wasted money for no reason, but if you look at what has happened, and you look at all of the facts from their side and my side, and you talk to the witnesses will tell you, she ain't did nothing but walked away. Because that's all I do. I could have fought back, but the one reason I don't fight back is because my mother's laying at home.
So, you know, the longer the consequences, given the longevity of the consequences.
Yeah.
If you were to get locked away,
Right.
it was going to take care of
I was
you.
going to take care of my mother. She's going to go in a nursing home. She's not going to be taken care of. She's going to have bed sores. She's not going to eat. My mother is laying there. She can move her head, her hands. You got to do everything else for her. But you're going to sit here and tell me I'm delusional because I'm walking away from you when you're trying to take me away from my mother. My mother's laying in a bed, and in the middle of the night, my Ring camera shows you at my front door at the time that rocks hit my front door, but the police won't do that. Then Lieutenant Morrison of Wake County Police and Sergeant Benton, B-E-N-N-E-T-T, Wake County Police, he said, are you aware that the police officers that's been coming to your house are Roseville police officers? I said, no. Why do you say that? He said, didn't you have a lawsuit against Roseville police? I said, yeah. He said, they should have never been coming to your house. He said, that's why when your house kept being broken into, nothing happened.
So
here's where I'm sitting. I'm sitting here saying, I have the same civil rights as the next person, but I don't. And I keep being told Roseville police can do anything that they want to do to me. April 18th, April 16th, this young lady said, we're going to get you good. April 18th, about 9:43 at night, my mom was sitting there watching NBA. I'm sitting there reading beside her. All of a sudden, this like powdery stuff comes through the air vent. My mom goes, she passes out. I stand up to go to her. From here down, I can't feel anything. I lay beside her bed. The only thing I witnessed was 2 footprints that looked like a man's feet standing at my mother's bed, under the bed. Then I heard another person walk by. He went on the steps. He said, come on. All the foots, they go up the steps. I pass out. I wake up hours later. I take my mom. I get her clothes. I get my clothes. I can show you the picture where somebody is following me down Highway 7. They take the back end of my Q7, send me a picture. I said, Mom, somebody just sent me a picture. Somebody's behind us. I can't give you anything else. I can only give you what is happening to you. That's not delusional. That's an actual picture where somebody sent me. So then as I pulled over on Highway 70 in LaGrange, apparently they go past me and they take another picture and they send me that too. So I have 2 pictures. I'm not taking a picture outside of my car. I'm in the car with my mother. I don't get it. We go to our home in Trenton. My family's like, every time you go to court, the house in Trenton get broken into or get vandalized. You know what they did in my mom's house? They went in my mom's house and pulled from the ceiling in her kitchen all the way across the back. They destroyed her kitchen, her bathroom, and her back bedroom. Tore the house all to pieces. Over $30,000 worth of damage right before we went to court on May 3rd. They moved out of the house on April 18th. My mom's house was destroyed on April 19th.
So you feel, in your heart, you feel like they...
Every single solitary time. Every time I get ready to go to court, my family down there, they're like, we're watching the house, but we're not there in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you. But I'm here.
Oh, understandably so.
But I can't do anything because I have to take care of my mom. And I'm not that type of person. There's so many of my family members that keep saying, we need to do something. No.
Trying to do it the right way to make sure, like, the consequences,
No.
you don't ever open yourself up to.
No. Everybody, I keep saying, no, 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 no. Haven't I? No. I'm not that type of person. Just because someone is lying and doing this to me does not mean I have to do something back to them. But my mother is laying there.
It's a big factor to chime in.
We don't mess with nobody, but I'm tired. I didn't do nothing to the police officers in Roseville. I bought a $350,000 house from the money from a car accident. My mom fell. I started taking care of her. I got calls left and right to go back to D.C. I couldn't go because I had to take care of my mother. And the rest of it is in that document that I sent to you. I can only tell you what Judge McCullers, Judge Baker, Judge Shirley, Judge Rosser told me to do. And I followed everybody's instruction, down to James Little of Hatch Little and Bunn. He said, Miss White, you gotta get that crap out of your medical records.
Because even though you say you feel that it has stopped regarding Craig, other people don't.
You got a new one.
Yeah.
I think you got a new one.
Yeah, it's just been piggybacked and taken over, and they've started up under a different person and continued on. That's what I've tried to explain to Carly and Seth. It's just a new face, but let's see, can't we get her again with a show cause? Let's see, can't we do this? Let's see, can't we do that?
Keep doing what you're doing. Get your evidence. Record everything. And I'll look for Carly in the courthouse, and I'll have a conversation with her, just to touch base with her.
She's a great lady. She
I like
really
her.
is.
I love her. She's great people.
Yeah, both her and Seth and the firm is great people. And they know exactly what's going on, and I got to give it to her. She sat down in front of the assistant DA, and she told the DA what was going on. She said, it's just wrong for what they're doing to this woman, and they just won't leave her alone. So I appreciate
Well, I'll
it.
give you my word. I'll follow up with her, and I'll be praying for you.
I thank you.
Because they're gonna keep using it. But the whole factor regarding the next door neighbor, we got your medical records. How? That's a violation of my PHI.
What your neighbors are saying, the manager?
Jessica. So we got your PHI, we got all your personal information, we know everything about you. I said, really? I said, have a good day. I walked on in my house. And then when we went to court, I saw Paige Feldman. I said, okay, so there's a connection here.
From Rosewood.
From Roseville.
Roseville.
To this. And I said, well, why? I called James Little. I said, did you not tell me that this stuff was over with? I said, you told me to walk away from $7,500. I said, y'all did not get my authorization to give these people, Miss White. We keep saying they need to stop, they need to stop. John and Lewis stood in front of Judge Myers and said on May 3rd, you're going to keep pushing until you push off the cliff. And once you push this off the cliff, folk is going to tear all of y'all to pieces. You're now talking about taking this woman's mother from her and putting her away. And her mother's on a deathbed. And she ain't did nothing.
They say, allude to, like, you doing, like, jail time or anything?
Yeah, he said, we're going to put you involuntary in a mental hospital for 1 to 5 years or put you in jail.
The media echo chamber.
I'm sure you've heard of this story already, but she had her first court appearance at the Wake County Justice Center yesterday. She's now in jail without bond. Now, warrants do not say when the threat against that medical facility happened, but the documents also show that officers believe that White is experiencing a severe mental health crisis.
So we do know the civil courts had concerns about Gwendolyn White's mental health, but so did the criminal courts, dating back to a 2023 misdemeanor stalking case where it was declared that she was not capable to proceed. But Gwendolyn White did fight that, saying that her son lied about her mental health. But she will undergo another mental health evaluation after what happened here just a week ago.
I also want to acknowledge the outcry for equitable mental health services and support. It is no secret that we lack the appropriate mental health infrastructure in this country to address the needs of so many aggrieved individuals, and we absolutely must do better.
White had some significant mental health problems that were being expressed, unfortunately, through the court system. She had at the time that I represented her, called the police on her neighbors dozens of times. I think it was 37 times. The time that I represented her, called the police on her neighbors dozens of times. I think it was 37 times. And they got sick of it. Every time the police came out, they would investigate. And Miss White had this fixed belief that her neighbors were poisoning her through her air conditioning system, which there's no evidence at all that that was true. I felt awful for Miss White, who I knew had not been getting the treatment that she needed.